points higher, but so are banks. Just look at the banks. Bank of Maharashtra, UCO, IOB, Central Bank, the whole lot up anywhere between about 3 to 6 odd %, and big volumes piling up on these names as well. Apart from that, a couple of stocks that I want to mention. REC, let's pull that up for you. Jefferies has added REC to its India portfolio. So perhaps there could be some traction there, 1.5% higher on that name. And then KPIT Technology as well. Goldman Sachs has a buy with a target price of 930. So it would be interesting to see how that one's moving, considering that, IT has been under pressure for a while. This is quite an aggressive target price from Goldman Sachs. So KPIT Technology holding in the green. But global banks like Goldman Sachs and Credit Suisse are upbeat on the outlook for commodities as well in 2023. What's driving this optimism? We find out from Juerg Kiener, the MD and CIO at Swiss Asia Capital. Juerg, thanks a lot for joining in. First up on crude, it's back above $82 a barrel. What's the outlook for 2023? Do you see it move higher? If yes, what could be the range for the year?
I think, we've been now range trading for some time, somewhere between 80 and 150. And I think this trend range, plus minus a few dollars, will continue. It might stay a bit soft in the first quarter as the global economy weakens a little bit, particularly in the Western front. Whilst at the Eastern front, we see the opposite happening. We see China reopening the market, so demand is going to come back in. And so what we're looking for the mid-year to the second part of the year, certainly stronger commodity and crude prices overall.
What about gold? If the economic outlook is uncertain, do you expect a lot of investment coming through in gold? Will demand for gold skyrocket in 2023 and the prices?
I think if you look at this year, you start to see that the physical demand, particularly in Asia, has been tremendous and growing rapidly. And that has come from two reasons. The stability, the instability in financial assets, which is certainly undermined. The credit risk issue globally, which is increasing as interest rates still are climbing. Credit risks are still going up, and most banks are still in trouble because of upcoming credit risk. So then we look at governments, which particularly with the Russian front, we have a bipolar world, a world which is actually becoming multipolar from a singular world. So we're deglobalizing out of the US dollar dominant position into a more polar world, and that's in general quite positive for precious metal universe. We've seen as well the Bank of International Settlement, which has been withdrawing its feed of physical supply to the exchange in London, which means we have tight supplies. We've got up to 3 months delivery periods for larger quantities without spread. And that tells me the market is very tight and will continue to stay tight.
Okay, so apart from crude that we discussed, any other commodities where you see further upsides in the near term, whether it could be, precious metals, gold? What's your view over there?
I think gold is staying in that environment where it's a beneficiary of the change of the global landscape, and so is silver. But then we like all the green metals, and main reason is this year we basically seen an announcement that the world signed to spend $150 trillion over the next 30 years on the greenification of the world, whatever this greenification means for people. But what it basically means is the demand for green metals continues to go up. The demand to work cleaner and more efficient is going up, and there we see a huge shortages. The underinvestment in all minerals, including gold and silver, for the last 15 years been so enormous that we have now supply sides contracting. And that means actually as soon as demand comes back in, because the Fed will move probably sometimes in the first quarter on a softer stand. I think most central banks will have a softer stand as inflation comes a little bit off, and particularly economic growth will soften. So that will be very positive on the end for the demand cycle again, and that the new cycle for commodities emerging quite strongly.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in. So one of the big drivers for commodity in 2023, according to Juerg, is going to be the underinvestment in commodities. The supply side has been contracting for the last many years, now 10 to 15 years, on account of underinvestment in commodities. So his view is that as soon as demand starts